The Neil Peart story is more complicated than you know, and while fans of the legendary Rush drummer often remember him as the quiet, philosophical genius behind the kit renowned for his lightning-fast precision, deeply introspective lyrics, and almost mythical presence on stage, the reality of his life, especially off-stage, was layered with heartbreak, solitude, reinvention, and personal evolution that went far beyond the spotlight of rock stardom, because while Peart was celebrated for elevating progressive rock with complex drum compositions and literary songwriting that blended Ayn Rand with science fiction, few understood the extent to which he struggled with the expectations of fame, often feeling like an outsider even within his own band's massive success. And despite being part of a trio that sold out arenas around the world, Peart was intensely private, frequently skipping fan meet and greets, disliking the celebrity attention, and instead retreating to his own world filled with books, motorcycles, and long, solitary road trips that served both as escape and therapy, especially after the twin tragedies that defined the darkest chapter of his life. First, in 1997, when his 19-year-old daughter, Selena, died in a tragic car accident. And then just 10 months later, when his common-law wife, Jackie, succumbed to cancer, leaving Peart emotionally and spiritually shattered, prompting him to take an extended hiatus from music and embark on a 5,500-mile motorcycle journey across North and Central America. An odyssey he later chronicled in his memoir Ghost Rider, Travels on the Healing Road, where he openly wrestled with grief, meaning, and the desire to keep living after losing nearly everything. And it was during this time that fans saw a different side of Peart, not the stoic drum technician, but a man unraveling and rebuilding himself through the rhythm of the road, through writing, and through the kindness of strangers who didn't know they were helping him recover. And when he finally returned to Rush in 2001, reuniting with Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson for the album Vapor Trails, it marked not just a musical comeback but a spiritual rebirth, as Peart had remarried and found a new kind of peace, one no longer driven by perfection or public expectation, but by personal truth and quiet resilience. And even as Rush continued to tour and record, Peart's role evolved. He remained the band's intellectual anchor and rhythmic engine, but his priorities shifted, often choosing fatherhood and a desire for normalcy over the grind of constant travel. And when Rush performed their final tour in 2015, it was Peart's decision to step away from the band that ended the era, not out of ego or exhaustion, but because his chronic tendinitis and other physical ailments made playing at his expected level increasingly painful, and he didn't want to be a diminished version of himself on stage. And tragically, what fans didn't know at the time was that Peart had already been diagnosed with glioblastoma, an aggressive form of brain cancer that he battled privately for over 3 years before his death in January 2020, with only a small circle of family and friends aware of his condition, a choice consistent with his lifelong avoidance of spectacle and sentimentality. And in the end, the Neil Peart story isn't just about the brilliance of a drummer who redefined the instrument. It's about a man who endured unimaginable loss, wrestled with meaning and mortality, and ultimately chose to live and die on his own terms, not with a bang or a farewell tour, but with grace, intellect, and a dignity that matched the integrity he brought to every note he ever played.